Welcome back to the Pro Ticker Podcast, your Wednesday morning edition covering major financial magazine headlines.
Yeah, today we're really seeing just how interconnected things are.
Definitely.
From interest rate anxieties and record gold prices to,
Right.
shifting consumer habits and even potential political surprises.
It's a lot to unpack,
It is.
but it should be interesting. So should we jump right in?
Let's do it.
All right. So Bloomberg is reporting that the CEO of Bank of America, Brian Moynihan, is suggesting the Fed maybe ease up on those interest rate cuts.
Interesting.
It seems like he thinks they were a little late to the game with the hikes and shouldn't be in a rush to reverse course.
Well, what's interesting here is that it's not just about interest rates, right?
Okay.
It's a reflection of his overall confidence in the U.S. economy.
Oh, interesting.
He's really bullish on this no landing scenario. He's pointing to low unemployment, strong wage growth as indicators that things are going to stay pretty resilient. Of course, higher interest rates also mean good things for Bank of America's bottom line,
Of course, yeah.
especially their net interest margin, which he thinks could hit a healthy 2.3%.
Well, and that makes you wonder how much of his optimism is,
Right.
coming from a good place versus what benefits him.
Totally. It's
Yeah.
a valid question. And it's always important to consider the source when you're analyzing these things.
For sure.
What's beneficial for one company or one sector might not be the same for the broader economic picture.
Oh, right, right. Well, and speaking of navigating a complex economic landscape, let's talk about Coca-Cola.
Correct?
Yahoo Finance is reporting that they've managed to exceed those Wall Street expectations for their third quarter revenue,
Okay.
even though their sales volume dipped a bit.
Interesting. How did they manage that?
Well, it seems like they've been strategically raising prices, of course.
Classic. Well, we've been seeing that across multiple sectors,
Yeah,
but
it's,
Coke has been particularly consistent. They've been implementing price hikes every single quarter since late 2020.
Yeah, it's a bold move at a time when I think a lot of us are feeling the pinch.
Yeah.
How long can companies like Coke keep passing these costs on to consumers?
That is the million-dollar question. And the answer probably depends on the brand, the product, the economic climate.
Right, right.
Coke seems to be betting on brand loyalty,
Yeah,
that people are going to want their product no matter what.
right.
But it'll be really interesting to see how long they can keep that up.
It will be interesting, especially when you consider what's happening with another beverage giant, Starbucks.
Mm.
Yahoo Finance called their recent quarterly performance a shocker, with U.S. comparable transactions down 10%.
Wow. 10%?
Yeah, and it gets even worse when you look at their performance in China,
Oh, no.
where same-store sales plummeted by 14%.
That's a lot.
It is. And this seems to suggest that Starbucks isn't just grappling with price sensitivity, it's facing a potential shift in consumer behavior. Like in China, consumers are opting for cheaper local alternatives, which signals a potential erosion of brand loyalty.
It's a double whammy for them.
It is, yeah.
Declining sales and then this potential shift. Not a recipe for success.
Definitely not.
It'll be interesting to see how their new CEO plans to tackle these challenges.
Yeah, their decision to retract their full-year guidance definitely tells us that it's going to be a bumpy ride.
For sure.
So, from coffee wars to electric avenues, let's turn our attention over to Tesla. Bloomberg is reporting that all eyes are on their upcoming earnings report,
Yeah,
especially as their share value has taken a hit this year, down 12%.
it's true. And that's a very different story than we're seeing with some of those other tech giants.
Right, it is.
It's really a reminder, isn't it, that past performance doesn't guarantee anything.
Right. Yeah.
They're facing headwinds on multiple fronts, slowing EV sales, their profit margins are getting squeezed by the competition.
Great.
And then there are those lingering concerns about their self-driving technology after that very public flop recently.
It's true. And let's not forget the pressure they're facing from those mega cap peers, Amazon, Microsoft, Apple.
It's a tough crowd to run with.
It is. It's like trying to keep up with the cool kids in high school, but the stakes are billions of dollars.
Exactly. Investors are definitely watching closely to see if Tesla can, regain some of its mojo and prove that their long-term growth is still possible.
Right. Absolutely. Well, while we're waiting for that earnings report with bated breath, let's shift gears completely to a different kind of business challenge.
Okay.
The Wall Street Journal is reporting that McDonald's is facing some scrutiny after an E. coli outbreak. That's linked to their Quarter Pounders.
That's rough. I mean, food safety is like the most important thing for any business in the food industry.
Right.
And, investors are concerned their shares tumbled more than 10% after hours.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I can't say I blame them. I mean, that makes me think twice about grabbing a burger.
Me too.
But on a slightly lighter note, the Wall Street Journal is also reporting that Frontier Airlines might be resurrecting its bid for Spirit Airlines.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's kind of the opposite then.
Right. One minute they're on the verge of bankruptcy, and the next minute
Yeah.
they're potentially getting this lifeline.
It's a good reminder that things can change really quickly in the business world,
That's true.
and you have to be able to adapt.
That's very true. Speaking of adaptation, Reuters has an interesting story about Thermo Fisher Scientific.
Okay.
They're actually raising their profit forecast for the year.
Really?
Yeah,
That's a very different tune than some of these other companies are singing.
it is, yeah. What's behind this optimism?
Well, according to Reuters, it's all about demand,
Oh, yeah.
specifically for their drug development tools and services, which signals continued growth in the life sciences sector, even when other industries are facing headwinds.
So it's a good reminder that even within a broader economic slowdown, there are always these pockets of opportunity.
Absolutely, and smart investors are always looking for those pockets.
Exactly. Now let's move from the world of science and business into the realm of politics. Reuters is reporting that the Trump campaign has filed a complaint alleging that the UK's Labour Party is meddling in the US election.
Interesting.
Yeah, this is a developing story, but it has the potential to stir up some diplomatic tensions.
For sure.
The Trump campaign is claiming that Labor's support for Kamala Harris constitutes illegal foreign contributions,
Okay.
and they've taken this grievance to the Federal Election Commission.
So this could be big,
It could be, yeah.
especially on top of an already contentious election cycle.
It really is. And speaking of the election, it seems like some Wall Street players are already placing their bets on a potential Trump victory. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that certain hedge funds and money managers are making these strategic investments based on that prediction.
That's fascinating. I mean, it's a perfect example of how political events can really ripple through financial markets. And these investors are putting their money where their mouth is, betting on a Trump presidency leading to favorable conditions for certain assets.
Right. They seem to be anticipating a repeat of 2016, with certain sectors like manufacturing potentially benefiting from Trump's policies.
Yeah, and it just underscores how interconnected global politics and finance really are.
Absolutely.
Decisions in the political sphere can have these huge consequences for the global economy.
They can. And speaking of global affairs, let's talk about the BRICS nations. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa.
Okay.
Reuters is reporting that their leaders recently convened for a summit.
Right.
And, of course, the ongoing war in Ukraine and the potential expansion of the bloc are high on the agenda.
Yeah, it's a clear sign that those BRICS nations are really trying to assert their influence
Right.
and potentially challenge the existing world order. Adding all those new members
Right.
would significantly increase their economic and geopolitical clout.
It really would. It's kind of feels like we're watching this geopolitical tug of war
Kind of, yeah.
brewing right in front of us.
It's tense.
It is.
Yes.
And amidst all of this uncertainty, it seems like some Chinese citizens are taking matters into their own hands, financially speaking, that is.
Yeah.
The Wall Street Journal had a rather concerning piece about capital flight from China.
Yeah, it looks like those anxieties about China's economic future are leading people to move their money out of the country
Move their money out discreetly, you say.
discreetly. It's hard to get an exact number on it,
Right.
but the Wall Street Journal is estimating as much as $254 billion might have left China just in recent quarters.
Wow, $254 billion. That's a staggering amount of money. What's driving this? And what does it mean for China?
Well, it seems like a few things are happening. The property market downturn, stricter capital controls,
Right.
and just this general sense that the days of unbridled growth in China might be over.
Yeah.
All of that contributes to a decline in confidence, and then people start looking for safer havens for their wealth,
Of course.
looking for better investment opportunities elsewhere.
Right. It's a stark reminder that behind all those massive economic indicators are individual people making very real decisions.
It is, yeah, and when you add all those individual decisions together, it can really impact things.
It's a tangled web we weave in the global economy, isn't it?
For sure. One minute it's coffee sales, the next it's international diplomacy and capital flight.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
So it's really important to stay informed, connect those dots.
Absolutely. You have to think critically about what you're reading. Having that broader perspective is so valuable.
Yeah. It really is. So as we're navigating this roller coaster of financial news, what are some key takeaways? What should our listeners keep in mind?
Buckle up. Volatility is here to stay. But seriously, remember, there are always opportunities out there, even amidst uncertainty.
Right, for growth, innovation, making smart financial decisions.
For sure. But it takes work, right?
Right.
We have to look beyond the headlines, dig a little deeper.
Ask those important questions. Like, what's driving these trends? Who benefits from these developments? How does any of this impact me?
Exactly. Knowledge is only powerful if you know how to use it.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's all about connecting those dots
Exactly.
and understanding the big picture.
And hopefully giving you the tools you need to make, better decisions, whether you're an investor or just, trying to make sense of things.
Exactly.
It's a wild world out there.
It is, which I think is what makes it so fascinating, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, that about does it for today's deep dive
Yep.
into these financial headlines.
It was a doozy.
It was,
So much going on.
yeah. We'll see you all tomorrow morning for another deep dive into the headlines shaping the business world.
See you then.
Until then, keep learning.